Hello, everybody. This is Todd Hoff again, your instructor for your pre-algebra class. And as promised, I am back to show you how to get registered in my math lab and how to access my math lab and use it to complete the assignments for the pre-algebra course. So we'll start out in Blackboard here. So this is the Blackboard site for our course. And as you scroll down, as you first look at it, these will be closed. So you'll get down to the before you start the course. Again, it will repeat, you must have regular access to a computer and internet. Make sure you've got that all planned out because all your assignments are going to be in this My Math Lab. So if we click on My Math Lab, it is important. Now, I recommend you have this done before you start the course, before the course starts. At the very least, it has to be done by June 10th, the second day of the course, because you need to be able to start doing assignments by then. So this is kind of written instructions as to how to go through it. This is your course code, which you're going to use in My Math Lab to tell My Math Lab what class you're taking. That makes sure you get enrolled in my class and in the pre-algebra class. To get to My Math Lab, you can either use this link here, or you can just type in mlm.pearson.com/North America. I'll show you that here. So, oops. mlm.pearson.com/North America. You hit enter, and it's going to take you to a login page. Now, once you have registered, you're just going to click sign into my lab. But your first time here, you're going to have to register now, create an account. So you're going to click your students. So you're going to click student access. So you're going to click on that. And then it's going to take you to another page. First thing it's going to do is ask if you have a learning management system. Now, we are using Blackboard, but we do not have it linked to My Math Lab. So you're going to click no here. And that's just going to take you down then to the instructions to get registered. Things you need, you're going to need that course ID. That is what I had showed you, that Hoff, HOFF 05899. An email address, I highly recommend you use your Northwood Tech email address. If there's any issues, it's a lot easier to get tech support if you're using your Northwood Tech email address. And an access code. So this is how you pay for My Math Lab. You either have to purchase it through the eCampus bookstore, or you can purchase it as you're signing up for My Math Lab using a credit card or a PayPal account. So then once you're ready, you just scroll down here and say, I am ready to register. And it's going to take you into the registration site. First thing you have to enter is that course code, HOFF 05899. Now, it's not going to let me register here because registration's not open for this course yet because I'm doing this ahead of time. So I'm going to get an error message saying it won't let me in, but that's okay. Once you do this, then what it's going to do is going to ask you now to create your account. So you're going to enter an email address, a username. I highly recommend that you just use your email address again as your username. Either way, make sure you write it down. We have students every semester that have issues. They try to get into My Math Lab and they can't remember what email address they used or what username they used and what their password is. So make sure you write all that information down so you don't have a problem with it. And then once you've completed that personal information to create the account, then it's going to ask you to pay for it. So you'll either need that code from the bookstore or use a credit card or PayPal to buy online. Now, if you are waiting for financial aid, or if it's going to be a week or so before you have the money to pay for My Math Lab yourself, you can click 2-week temporary access. And so that is free for 2 weeks. By the end of the 2 weeks, you must convert it to a paid access, or your information could be lost. All your work can be lost. Because of that, there is no excuse. Financial aid's not in, whatever. You can use the site for free for 2 weeks while you're waiting for financial aid or waiting for money to come in. So there's no excuse not to get registered and get started on time. So then once you have completed that, the next time you come into My Math Lab, you're going to just click on Sign into My Math Lab. And it'll take you to the sign in page. Now, I've already signed in, so it didn't do that, but you would take you to the sign-in page where you would enter your username and your password. And then you'll select pre-algebra for the summer. So once you're into MyMathLab, the important things you need, so there's 2 tabs over here that include assignments. First is the homework tab. That includes all the homework assignments. You can see homework 1 through 26 are all listed there. Now, that's a lot of assignments to squeeze into 8 weeks. That's, like I said, 3 or 4 homework assignments every week. So make sure you stay on that. And then there's these optional tests. I'll explain those in a little bit. So that's your homework, but then also every day you need to check the quizzes and tests, because along with each homework, there's a quiz. So you notice the first homework assignment is due on June 11th. That's Wednesday of the first week. The first quiz is also due on June 11th. And they go together. The quiz that's due on June 11th, this one's showing January 28th. I haven't changed the dates yet. But quiz 1 will be due on June 11th. It goes with homework 1. So you use homework 1 to practice the material, and then when you feel ready, you go over and take the quiz. So as I said, the homework is graded simply for completeness. As long as you have done the homework and attempted at least 70% of the problems, you're good. So I'm going to go down here as you're doing the homework. So you just click on one of the assignments. Again, I recommend you do them in order. I haven't changed the dates yet, so it's giving me a warning of being late, but that'll be changed by the time your course starts. You click on any problem to get into the assignment, or you can just click Start the Assignment. I might get a warning here for late assignments. Nope, we're good. So anyway, as you're doing a problem like this, if you're not sure what to do, down on the bottom of the page, there are some help topics. Now, I would recommend if you're going to use them in this order. If you click on Get More Help, there's video and textbook. So the video will either show you a short video explaining the topic. The textbook will actually take you to a page in the ebook that describes this topic. Ask My Instructor, I'll come back to that in a little bit. If those don't help, I would suggest you use View an Example. What View an Example is going to do is it's going to bring up a similar problem. Notice that's different numbers. And if you click Continue, it's going to walk you through solving that problem step by step. And then you close and you can come back here, and now you can try to do this problem following those same steps. If you're still stumped, you can click on Help Me Solve This. And Help Me Solve This is actually going to go through this exact problem. So the View an Example was a similar problem. Help Me Solve This is going to go through the exact problem step by step. And it's going to ask you to input the answer at each step. So it'll give you the first couple steps, and then it's going to ask you to do some stuff here quick. It's going to ask you pick which one of these is what it's going to be. So it's going to be this one. And it'll say, yep, you're right. So then it'll go on to the next step, and it'll ask you to pick what to do at the next step. And when you're done, you hit continue. Now, watch as I hit continue here. It's going to take you back to the problem, but you'll notice that it's a little slow here for some reason. Let's click out. Notice the numbers have now changed. So you can still do the problem, it's going to change the numbers. So it already showed you how to do the original problem. No use doing that one again, but it gives you a new problem that you can try to work on and go from there. Now, this one's actually going to require an exponent to be entered, so I'm glad we're on this one. If you click there in your answer box, it'll bring up a template here. So to put in an exponent or a superscript, you see right here, you click on that, and that brings you an exponent. So you can do 9 to the power of -2, and there's your correct answer. Oops, what's that wanting me to do? That's why I'm going to enter it as a fraction. So you go ahead and delete that out and enter your new fraction. Actually, I'm going to purposely enter this incorrectly. If I do that 3 times, it's going to say, okay, you got it wrong 3 times. Either you can go on to the next question and take this one wrong, or it will give you a new question and you keep trying. That's just so you can't sit there and guess over and over again until you get the right answer. So we got to start out with a fraction. So I put a 1 up here, then I click on the bottom, and then I'm going to have to put in the exponent. So 2 to the power of, oops, let's see, something doesn't look right there. Let me delete that. 2, there we go, to the power of 3, and check my answer, and there it's correct. So the homework, you can keep doing them over and over again. It'll keep giving you new problems until you either get it right or decide to move on. And the homework has all these help topics to help you learn what to do. Now, with that out there, I want to give you a warning. When you go to take a quiz or a test, these help topics will not be there. So I recommend that when you're doing the homework, try to do the problems without using the help topics, just to see if you really know what to do. Every semester I have students that say, hey, I breeze through the homework and I get them all right, but then I get to the quiz and I have no idea what to do. Well, that's because in math, most of the time, the most difficult thing is to figure out what process needs to be done to solve a problem. Well, if you click on one of these help topics, it tells you what process to use. It gives you an example and shows you the process. So then all you have to do is come back to the question and plug in the new numbers. That is easy. Once you know the process, it's easy to plug in the numbers and crank out the calculation. It's figuring out what process to do. So if you do use one of these help topics, make sure you're looking at the problem and asking yourself, what in this problem is telling me that this is the process I have to use? So that when you get to the quiz, it's not quite as much of a struggle without those help topics. The quizzes then, as I said, do not have those help topics. So if you go to the quizzes and tests, if I were to take a quiz, it probably won't let me open this right now because it's past due. But if you go to take a quiz, those help topics will not be there. And unlike the homework where you can redo it as many times as you want to, you see here it says 0 of 2 attempts. That means you can try each quiz twice. You cannot do each problem twice. You have to do the entire quiz. So if you take the quiz and you don't like your score, you can retake it. Now, once you've taken it, you can click on your score for that quiz and it'll take you through. You can actually go back and look through your quiz and see what you had wrong so that you can study those problems. Now, one thing that confuses people is when you get a question wrong, if you look in the answer box, it's going to show, MyMathLab is going to show you the correct answer. So I get that from students all the time. It looks like my answer is correct. I don't know why it's marking it wrong. Well, that's because MyMathLab is showing you the correct answer. If you click on that answer box, it's going to show you what you answered. So keep that in mind as you're going through to review those quizzes. So like I said, if you don't like your quiz score, you can take it again. There's no penalty for retaking it. So if you get a worse score, the system will automatically take the higher of the 2 scores. Again, the only warning there is the due date is a hard due date. Make sure if you're taking the quiz, if quiz 1 is due at 11:59 p.m. on June 11th, I wouldn't start taking it at 10:30 p.m. because then if you don't like your score, there's a good chance you're not going to have time to go back and retake it. And time management is not an excuse for an extension on something like that. So make sure you're planning ahead. The same goes for the tests, by the way. If I scroll down here to test 1, you can see that is also 2 possible attempts. So plan ahead there again as well so that you can, if you don't like your score on the test, you have time before the due date to complete that. As I mentioned, the whole course is open. There are no timed releases, so you can work as far ahead as you want to. If you have vacations coming up or days where you think you're not going to be able to get to your work ahead and get it done. Or if you just want to get it over with. Like I've mentioned, I've had students that have completed the whole semester, the whole summer in like the first 2 weeks. So they have it done and they're ready to enjoy their summer without having math hanging over their head. So that is the basics of MyMathLab. If you have any questions, please let me know. By the way, here's eText. If you click on that, it'll take you to the chapter contents of the eText. Now, how do you know which chapter you want? If I go back to the homework here, if I'm working on homework 4, let's say, and I'm working on this problem. If I look at the top of the page, once the problem loads, it will tell me what section this problem is from. So you can see up here, this says question 16 because it's question 16 of the assignment, but after that it says 2.6.29. The 2.6 is the important part. That's telling you that question corresponds to chapter 2, section 6. So I can click on chapter 2. I can go down here to section 2.6, and that is the section in the textbook that covers that topic. So now you'll get this. You have to click eText, and then it'll actually open up the textbook to that section so that you can look over that section to help you get through that question in the homework. So as I said, if you have any questions or problems, let me know. Get registered in my math lab before the start of the course. If you're going to use that 2-week free access to start off with while you're waiting for funding to sign up or to get your full access to the course, I do recommend that you wait until a day or two before the course starts. Otherwise, your 2-week temporary access could expire before. I've had students sign up right away, and then, of course, it expires before the course even technically starts. So make sure you time that if you're going to use that. But if you don't have your funding available right away, that allows you to start the course while you're waiting for financial aid or whatever to happen. So please don't wait for anything like that. Get signed up and registered in by the beginning, by June 9th, June 10th at the latest, so that you can start your assignments and not get behind. So with that, if you need anything, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'm looking forward to working with you for the summer.